Dr. Fontaine continued, after several days of investigating the issue, I am convinced that this is simply another excuse for why the United Workers' Party, in quotation mark, UWP, was not able to wrest control of the government from the perceived inexperienced leadership of Roosevelt Skerrit. In that long article, he continued below, and he said how many votes were casted in 2005. And he said how many were casted in 1995, and the numbers were almost identical. And he said that was before the term diaspora came into being. I had the distinguished privilege of representing the Labour Party in 2005 elections for a recount in Castlebruce. And in that elections, the Labour Party candidate, who was also the candidate for UWP in 2000 elections, won the seat by one single vote. One single vote. And nowhere in the recount did anyone say, United Workers' Party was represented then by the current chairman of the Electoral Commission, the lawyer. He was representative of United Workers' Party. I wouldn't say who was the presiding officer who's in this room. But I represented the Labour Party with some lawyers. And nowhere in that recount did anyone say that somebody came to vote who was suspicious. The arguments were simply and strictly on the validity of the votes. Whether it crossed the line or it did not, or the person voted for more than one person, or whether it was spoiled ballots. Strictly on spoiled ballots. Everybody knew who voted. Nobody questioned anybody coming to vote. So when there is the hogwash of people who do not want to do their political work, it is unfortunate. And as the current leader of the United Workers' Party said, going back some 18 years, they have been on that campaign, and he told them then, and I am sure he will tell them again, it is in fact hogwash. So the members from Marigot who got up and walked away, once again, their new leadership have spoken to them in the truth, in words that they cannot deny, and your party have left you. It is gone. It is finished. There is no United Workers' Party because there is not a commitment from that end for people to do hard work, to take care of the will of the people. So I wanted to say that and to point that out. You talk of organization and campaign financing. In my wallet, I have a card. And that is my Dominican Labour Party membership card. This party has a card. And in my vehicle, I have a check. You see, my membership card. Electronic card as well. Huh? And in my vehicle, I have a check for the supplier of the plastic for the cards. Because we ran out of cards. That's the third check since we instituted cards 2 years ago. Because Dominicans are registering and are becoming members of their party. And we need more and more cards. The more we buy cards, is the more people signing up. So talking about financing, we have a structure. We have an organization. We have a party. Because the Labour Party takes care of the needs of the people. And you mentioned of electoral reform and the laws. This Labour Party government went to Parliament, and they were taking laws to Parliament to modernize the laws that we had in Parliament. And at the time, I sat in Parliament in the audience, in the gallery, and there were people outside, and the police came to give advice that there were heaps of stones outside. And the Prime Minister, in his wisdom, concluded Parliament and withdrew the laws. And the changes that the party was asking for then, the Honorable Prime Minister and the government instituted those changes and were prepared to take it back to Parliament. When he did that, the former leader, the former immediate leader of the United Workers' Party, Lennox Linton, who left, he went on the radio and said then that the concerns that they had are now met and they have no objection. But what happened? Shortly after that, a member of his own party went to the courts and placed an injunction. That is why we do not have the laws yet. It's not because Roosevelt's Caribbean is trying to keep it away. Their current leader told them long ago, it's hogwash that you're talking. And we're speaking of diaspora and diaspora voting. The only political party in Dominica today who was the leader in Dominica is Labour Party. Where is the current leader of the Workers' Party? We heard of the leader of the Freedom Party on Zoom. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? I believe, as Dominicans, it is important that we all put Dominica first. We have to be honest. And if we can't be honest to ourselves, then what else? Mr. Linton and Mr. James know what Thompson Fontaine said to them back then. And Thompson Fontaine, Lieutenant Gabriel Christian, wrote an article about the same time saying the same thing. And they were supported by the judge from Canada, because Mr. Fontaine has his lieutenant and his right tenant and his lieutenant and whatever, and they all supported him. Mr. James, Mr. Linton, the guy left you all. He took your party away from you. Let us organize. Let us be true to the future generations of Labour. This party has served the country for the last 24 years and will serve for many more. But in serving, we have to ensure that the Dominica we bequeath to those who follow after us is a Dominica that is strong, is a Dominica that we are proud of, is a Dominica that the world can lift the eye to and be proud and say, this is a remarkable country. In Wesley, I want it to be in Wesley, because you know what? The United Workers' Party, led by Edison Shenfield James and by Lennox Linton, had two representatives who were elected members of the House of Assembly. And I speak in the person of Edgar Jerome Burke and Peter Carbon. And both of them were elected to represent the constituency, and they left after elections. Yes, in Wesley, in this constituency where we are. And they left Dominica and went to live overseas. And they came down to Dominica to Parliament every third sitting of the House, not to forfeit their seats. That is the legacy of Edison Shenfield James. That is the legacy of UWP. That is the legacy of people who are saying that Dominicans who work hard and who toil hard cannot vote. My goodness, Maguesa, gentlemen, let us be fair. Let us be true. To thine own self be true. If you don't want to listen to Nantan, listen to your leader. You may not like him. He took your party from you. We know that. You may not like him. But please, go back to the records. Listen to Dr. Thompson Fontaine and his wisdom, his words of wisdom and advice to you then, and those words of wisdom still stands today. I thank you very much, and I wish Dominica well. Dominica, I love you. Dominica now, Dominica tomorrow, Dominica forever. Labour, government, Labour people, Dominican people, let's work together for the beautiful country of Dominica. Thank you and good night.
Thank you very much for your contribution, Mr. Nathan. Okay, the Attorney General will just wrap up on a few points and then we are going to close. But let me thank everyone who has contributed so far.
Right, I think it's quite late, so try to go through quickly. Firstly, I mean, there's so many things, and I don't think this is a proper forum. I would hope that there's an opportunity for further communication on this issue. So if I take first Ms. Fabian, who asked the question. The decision is not mine, just to put it that way, in terms of what happens next. What I can say to you is that all of the contributions that have been made throughout the course of the consultation process will be collated, and then the main proposals, suggestions will be obviously itemized, and those who are responsible for determining the next phase will do that. But certainly, it's not the intention of the government, as far as I understand it, and I don't think that would be logical either, to just simply go from here to Parliament. So there will be some process. But you and the members of the public will no doubt be kept informed. In relation to the CCJ case, which is repeatedly being referred to, or cases, because the speaker, Mr. Linton, the second speaker, referred to a different element, and it's been referred to during these consultations, not tonight, but on a previous occasion. And I hadn't engaged on it because I don't really want to engage too much. I want to allow people to say what they want to say. But when things are being said which are not factual, perhaps it is necessary to step in. So in relation to what you heard, I think from Mr. James, but also and Mr. the Lintons and others, as regards the CCJ and what the CCJ said, the CCJ case that is being referred to is actually a case, as you would have heard, which relates to the many petitions that have been filed challenging the outcome of elections from 2005 until the 2019 election. I think every election apart from 2014 had a challenge by way of election petition. And in 2014, whilst there were no petitions, there was a challenge in a different form, which was a private prosecution was brought by, I think, 3 members of the opposition. And that's the other CCJ matter that was referred to, and I will address very briefly. The thing is, we have to be very clear and fair about what we're saying. And if we're referring to facts, then they must be factually accurate. If people are expressing their opinions, I will not intervene. But if it's factual matters, then I must. In relation to the CCJ matter that some of the speakers referred to, the CCJ referring to tents, what the CCJ was considering, and the sole issue, was whether the Court of Appeal was right to hold that it didn't have jurisdiction to hear the appeal that the opposition was seeking to lodge against the decision of the judge at first instance, that's the High Court judge. And the conclusion of the CCJ was that the Court of Appeal was correct to hold as it did. It actually states, and forgive me, the lighting is not terribly good. I have 4 eyes, but 2 of them are mine and 2 of them are for use to hopefully enhance, but they doesn't always work as well as it should. It said, the critical issue in this appeal is whether the Court of Appeal rightly declined jurisdiction to review the decision of a trial judge who had dismissed 10 election petitions. And it went on to say what the appeal was concerned with. It talked about the 10 petitions. It went on to deal with other issues, the respondents, and then concluded that the Court of Appeal was correct. And then the reference that's referred to is at paragraph 55, which I will come to shortly. And I want to refer to the specific paragraph because we're dealing with accuracies and we're also dealing with, it's a process, and I understand different people want to influence different people, different constituencies with a small c, but we can do so in a fair, correct, and accurate manner. Under the heading conclusion at paragraph 54, the CCJ ruling or judgment states as follows. For the reasons above stated, the petitioners must be denied permission to appeal the judgment of the Court of Appeal to this court. An appeal to this court has no reasonable prospect of success. The trial judge's judgment was interlocutory, not a final, and so forth and so on. But the fact is, they were unsuccessful in persuading the CCJ to grant them leave to appeal against the decision of the Court of Appeal, which was against them. And in paragraph 55, which is the one they rely on, the word if is used, and I think it wasn't used in what's been said to this or any of the other meetings or in the media, but it is the most germane accurate statement, but it is what is being used, unfortunately, as the poster child for those who wish to put hurdles in the way of the reform process. Hopefully, those hurdles will not succeed once again. The other CCJ case is one which relates to the 2014 proceedings that were brought by three individuals in which they alleged bribery and cheating. That went through a whole process, and when it came before, ultimately came before the court in, I think, 2019, probably 2020, 2021, thereabouts. When it came before the court, that obviously it would be the magistrate's court because it was a private criminal prosecution brought by those three individuals. One was deceased by the time it came before the court. Another decided at the 11th hour not to proceed. And the third and final individual claimed he had evidence, but when the matter was called on and he was invited to provide the evidence, he was not able to do so. That is my understanding of the case, as far as I'm aware, and it is in those circumstances that the Director of Public Prosecution nolly prossed the case. You can't have a case hanging around. Those who bring the case are not able or willing to produce evidence. Of course, the Director of Public Prosecutions must act to protect the justice system. The issue of residence, I don't propose to go into that at any length, as I said, certainly if not before that, certainly at the Marigot session, I will go into that. I will simply say this, that what was said by the last speaker referring to residence is a distortion of the law and the realities as regards residence. To put it very simply, the Constitution at section 33(2) that I referred to earlier requires residence for a person to be registered. So if you wish to register, you're not registered, you're 18 or you're 35 or you're 50 and you're not registered and you want to get registered, you have to comply with the residency requirements or the domicile requirements. The residency requirement is that you live in the constituency for which you wish to be registered for a period, a continuous period of 3 months immediately preceding the point at which you wish or you're applying for registration. That's one. Residency is required for that. The second is in relation to voting, and as I said earlier, and I'll read it again, every person who is registered, so a person is already registered, who is registered as aforesaid in any constituency shall, unless disqualified by Parliament from voting in that constituency, be entitled so to vote. So if you're already registered and you travel abroad, you are registered. If you return after that, you are registered. So according to section 33(2)(b), as I understand it, it means that if you're not disqualified and you're registered, you would be able to vote. That's my understanding of it, and that's simple. I have not seen or heard any explanation that yet will persuade me to change my understanding of that provision. The issue of passport peddlers, I think I'm not going to go into it. The reality is that we have people who are on the commission, as I said earlier. Some are supporters. Indeed, there are political activists. Indeed, I heard one on the radio today, castigating everybody, including Sir Dennis, not one of the representatives who's there on the nomination of the Prime Minister. So I really say that what we need to do, as I said earlier, is be serious, sit down, let's discuss these things with a serious mind, and seek to address what is before us. Not what's behind us, what's before us now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, AG, for that summary and the responses to some of the questions and issues that have been raised. It is late, and let me take this opportunity to thank you for being here tonight, those of you who have come. We thank you for your feedback, your opinions, and your comments. We are in the community because we want to hear directly from you. Earlier last week, we heard from a lot of organizations that represent people and that represent various institutions, but we wanted to ensure that we could hear directly from you in the community, and we have achieved this over the last few nights. I wanted to add before we wrap up that over the last 2 weeks, I have also realized from the feedback that we have been receiving from those who are here in person and those who are following via the live streams, that this has also been an opportunity for education of the masses on the electoral process and our current electoral laws. There are a lot of people who are learning from what has been happening over the last few days. So in addition to understanding what has been proposed in the review and in the report, we are learning a lot as we go along about our current electoral process, and I hope that this empowers us even further to participate. Tomorrow night, we have a break. Thankfully, I know my staff at the Office of the Prime Minister and the Cabinet Secretary will be very happy for this break over the next weekend. But on Monday, the 28th, we will be at the Parish Hall, St. Alphonsus Parish Hall, and we are targeting a large group. We're bringing everybody together, those who are interested, from the West Coast and the South and the Southeast to the Parish Hall. So we are looking forward to seeing and hearing from you then. And on Tuesday, as I said earlier, we will be going to Marigot at the Will Strathmore Stevens Primary School. That will be Tuesday the 29th. And our final community consultation for now will be on Wednesday at the Kalinago Territory at the Sally Bay Primary School. All of these consultations will be held starting at 6 p.m. This evening we had a very late start, but you don't understand, we are moving far, and we want to ensure that everybody can get home at a reasonable time, and also for those who are listening. So we'd like to start on time, Monday at Parish Hall, Tuesday at Marigot, Will Strathmore, and Wednesday at the Kalinago Territory. We will have a final virtual consultation on Thursday to capture the views of other members of the diaspora and other members of the public who have not been able to join us at these meetings. I want to remind us all, and those who are also listening, that you can also send in written comments to the Cabinet Secretariat at CAPSEC, that will be CABSEC, at dominica.gov.dm. So you can send your written comments to us at the Cabinet Secretariat. At this point, I would like to especially thank the observers who have been here with us for the last 2 weeks. They have had an opportunity to listen to Dominicans from all sectors and all walks of life. They will leave us this weekend, however, they will continue to participate virtually in these consultations over the next few weeks. But we do appreciate them being here with us in person. Some of them have come. Justice Masaga has come from as far as Kenya to be with us to represent the OAS, the Commonwealth Secretariat, and Ms. Glynn, who has been with us before, coming from the OAS in Washington, and of course our representative from the OECS, who has also joined us. We did have a representative from the CARICOM who left us last week, but he also, I have been in contact with him, and he has been following us virtually as well every evening. So a lot of people have asked why are they here. They know why they are here. They will provide their feedback to us, and they have listened to you. At the end of this, of course, they will provide a report to the government, in addition to their review of the proposed legislation and the Sub-Iron report. So thank you very much again for being with us. You've almost been, part of us, and I hope you get to enjoy a little bit of Dominica before you leave us on the weekend. So we hope that can happen before you leave. Thank you very much to everyone else for being here. I really want to especially thank my staff at the Office of the Prime Minister and the Cabinet Secretariat. They've been working very hard for the last 2 weeks. I know they need a little holiday, but that will come because we have another week ahead. And thank you, of course, to the ministers who join us every evening, and those of you, the members of the public, the members of the media, the staff of GIS, and everyone who is listening and responding via social media, via Facebook, via WhatsApp. People are very engaged in this process, and we're very happy for that. So again, thank you very much to everyone. Please get home safely. We have some light refreshments for you before you leave. Have a good night.